Hi, Miss Angela. Thank you for joining us on the road to recovery.
Good evening.
Thank you. I am your host, Miss Ronda Jackson, serial entrepreneur and small business advocate. I'm here to share resources and expertise that has afforded me much of my success. And I feel that it's critical and vital to the business conditions that we have nowadays. And the information that guests like Angela are going to share are presented and discussed only for informational purposes. It is not legal, tax, financial advice of any kind, and it's provided as is, without any warranty of any kind, either expressed or implied. Thank you, Angela, for sharing your resource and wealth of knowledge. We appreciate you being here today. Angela Gibson Shaw is the president of A&G Consulting. Angela, A&G, tell us a little bit more about the company.
Okay, first of all, let me say thank you, Rhonda, for your leadership and providing this very useful resources in these times, uncertain times. And so again, my name is Angela Gibson Shaw, and I'm the president of my firm, A&G Associates. And we're a small boutique consulting firm that specializes in minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses. And we focus on their development and also in outreach and getting them on job sites and in getting them contracts and contacts and more customers. On my personal side, I serve at the Executive Board of Directors of the Inglewood Chamber of Commerce, and I'm also a small business commissioner appointed by Supervisor LA County, Mark Ridley Thomas. A couple of my clients include the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce, where I serve as president, and I also do veteran business outreach for a contractor development and bonding program in the city of Los Angeles.
Oh, very good. So you come from a very well-rounded business background.
Yeah, my mission is the business community. Absolutely.
Yes, from a place of service as well as a place of, business operations. So you definitely understand what's happening in today's world. So from that perspective, or from your well-rounded view, give us one word. Where are we at right now? Give me one word that you think best describes where we're at right now.
So when I think of the one word, and I think about the uncertain times that we're in, and my heart breaks for businesses that have been just negatively impacted by this coronavirus. My one word is triage. And so I think it's time for businesses, if they haven't already, stop and triage your business situation, because you're going to have to prepare for a new normal. So when I say triage, I want you to focus and think about key areas as personnel, operations, supply chain and inventory, and finally revenue. And so I think you take a hard critical look of where you currently are with those key focus areas before you can pivot and proceed.
Right. Is there a priority when we consider those areas? Is there a place that we should start with our triage and then continue through to?
I think as you do your assessment and you see what's bleeding the most, where you have the biggest gap, that will determine and become your priority.
Okay, so there's no one size fit all.
No, not at all. But you've got to do that triage. You've got to take a look at where you currently are. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, can you tell us a little bit more about that assessment process? How will we go about doing that?
Right. So you want to take a look at your business, and you've triaged everything, and now you want to be able to look and see if you're going to stay in business. Okay. What that looks like in the new normal. Or will you pivot and go into another business? And so that's where you start to do your assessment. For instance, let's take a look currently in this coronavirus pandemic area of essential businesses and determine if you have a service that is needed. Currently, essential services are gas stations, pharmacies, grocery stores, utilities, banks, infrastructure and construction, laundry services, and of course, the government. So they are operating to try to save America, but they are in need. So that's an assessment. Do you have a product or a service that you can provide for those essential businesses? So that's one way that you can assess your business.
Okay.
And another way, of course, is to go to their website. Go to their website and check them out.
See what they're doing. So, get to know who those businesses are and learn something about them as well.
Right.
Okay. So if we're assessing them, so what I hear you almost asking us to do is to look at a new target market, because a lot of us may not have been servicing those type of businesses that you just
Absolutely. Also, don't forget, I was on a webinar today about utilities. All the utilities have come together, the phone, gas, electric, I think there's maybe different kind of water companies They are business as usual. They are still providing telephone service. They are still needing to, because they are considered essential, they are still building and maintaining the infrastructure, and they're still delivering service. So that's another assessment, another avenue that you might look at. Go onto their websites and see what it is that they are in need of, and see if that's a product or service that you might have, because again, you may need to pivot.
Okay, so businesses that are in business and operating need, for example, delivery services. They need office equipment. They need, consumables for their restrooms and things like that. So if we're in any of those type of industries, now maybe shift in service clients like that.
Right, and service a different client, a different customer.
Okay.
And maybe if you aren't in that, then you want to take a look at what kind of business that you might want to get into. And so all of these essential services that I just named, in addition to them doing what they do business as usual, they still now have to go into a sanitation, I guess, and a cleanliness kind of mode, and a safety look that they need to have as they continue their business. For instance, the LA Chamber of Commerce has a very robust website of different corporations, large and small, that need different types of medical equipment. And so when you think of gloves, masks, shoe covers, gowns, handy wipes, spray bottles, bleach, and you can go on of course, the website and find that list goes on and on. As a small business, do you have access to, 10,000 spray bottles? Maybe you were in another business. Maybe you were, and you might be able to use the product that you have and transition to another business. And so there's some different criteria that you're going to want to take a look at that you'll need in order to be able to possibly service another client, another clientele that's different from your core business.
Oh, I see. Very good. So is that a full assessment? Is that a complete view of?
So that's kind of part of the assessment, because what you're trying to do is assess your options. If you're going to stay in business, what are you going to look like? As we all know, the new normal is going to be a little different. And so we're going to have to do a little research about how companies that we may have serviced, or companies whose business we want to partner with, what's that going to look like in the future? And corporations are all needing all of our services. There's some things they're going to want to know about you. If you're trying to get into a new line of business, they're going to want to know your quantity, your delivery schedule, your payment terms. Is this your core business? Are you retooling? They want to know that so they can help you. Because I've also heard that big corporations who usually fulfill a lot of the things that they need in their business had partners, and they got their product and their merchandise overseas. That won't be happening anymore. So they are looking around for local suppliers. And if you can get your hands on that, then you're in business. For instance, I was at Target. There's no Cottonelle toilet paper, but I went to my local market and they've got some Venda toilet paper. So there's a niche there to fulfill and step in and fill a gap of when you don't see something. That's a niche. And so that's the kind of assessing that you've got to do. But again, you've got to keep in mind, your payment terms, your delivery schedule, what you need in order to be able to be successful as a business.
Right. So we're ready to do business. We've assessed that. Well, how about this? We've raised our hand and said, yes, I want to remain in business and I am willing to retool, right? And maybe restructure what I'm doing, right? To be able to service the available client pool. So before we had this global market that we were able to service, and now based on, depending, like you said, your capacity, your revenue base, that market has shrunk a little bit, right? And then with that shrinking market, what would you say would be an educational component for someone entering into these new markets or after this assessment?
I think the first thing, one of the things that you can do is align with the groups that are in that industry. There are currently, I'm sitting on webinars, there are currently coalitions of groups of folks. Of course, the restaurant industry are on webinars all the time talking about how they will look different in the new normal. And so you're going to want to find your tribe if you're staying in your core business, or you're going to want to find a new tribe. The retail industry, what will that look like moving forward? Food trucks. Everybody was in the food truck business. So what does that look like moving forward? That may be even more robust business to be in. Of course, construction. There are many, many phases and facets of construction. Last week, I attended a call of the airport concessionaires. They're coming together to talk about what they look like in the new normal. Event planners. That's one thing, you know, all the events, you know, us out networking and socializing and attending mixers and galas and fundraisers. The event planners are coming together to have a discussion about what that looks like in the new normal. And so one of the pieces to educate yourself is to find your tribe. And then think about changing your business model. If you just want to make a slight change, if you have a dine-in, maybe you want to switch to delivery. So again, find the industry that services that and also become educated that way. That's one of the ways that you can educate yourself. Again, as I said, you know, you go to Target, there are no masks, but you go down to the corner of Crenshaw and Florence
and Laker mask.
Right, yeah. And this is when the spirit of being an entrepreneur really comes to light, man. You've got to think outside of the box. So again, you've got to triage what you've got and really become an entrepreneur. Really is the reason that you got into this business. Yeah. Again, the other piece of education, which is really, really critical, is the funding that's out there. Today, we woke up to understand that the government and the SBA have exhausted all of the funds that were allotted to them, that $350 billion. But here in California, there's other funding available. Okay. And so while there may be more money coming, educate yourself on the other funding options that you have. The state of California has an iBank. They've got money in it. The LA County has a fund they've created. So does the city. And there are many other CDFIs, you know, different financial institutions, alternative lenders that have funds available for you to either stay the course or either shift change. And you also can use them for counseling. There's a couple of organizations, Pacific Coast Regional. They are a great organization, and they'd be able to counsel you and possibly provide funding. And so there's a number of great groups like that can provide that great information. But I certainly recommend that you get counseling along with your funding, along with aligning with the groups. Don't just go from one thing to the other without having done any education or talk to the people that are in it, because they were like, no, don't come over here from dressmaking and go into the restaurant business, because that's not going to happen. So do your homework. Now that you can, right, but don't open a restaurant.
Right. No, I hear that. So wait, so I also heard you say there's an African proverb, and it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So I'm hearing that from the counseling platforms like this, where we're sharing the resources and sharing the information, as well as the SBDCs like Pacific Coast Regional that are available to actually give us some of the counseling and support that we need. And then also, I do want to give you an opportunity to share your website or ways to contact you, because you have a lot of great ideas. You have a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And of course, don't forget the chambers of commerce. In addition to the specialized industries, there's some general chambers of commerce are great for seeing a wide spectrum of different businesses. Yeah. And so
we'll put links for some of those suggested items as a follow-up.
Okay, so let me tell you about GLAAC, the Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce. That'd be www.glaacc.org. Or if you're interested in the construction business, you can go to IMWIS. That's Ingrid Meriwether Williams Insurance Services. They are the contractor that's putting on the contractor development and bonding program, imwis.com. And you can also go to my website, Angela Gibson, Gibson, AngelaGibsonConsulting.com.
Thank you. Thank you, Angela. So as a business owner today, I feel more informed. I'm going to do my triage and make my assessment of my business, educate myself about the opportunities, new markets that I can look into, explore a few of the resources or all of the resources that you've shared with us today. What would just one piece of advice, one actionable thing that you would ask business owners to do today before they, put their head on the pillow tonight?
When this pandemic is over, if you don't have a new skill or a better hustle or some new knowledge, then you didn't lack time. You lacked discipline.
Okay. So use this time productively.
Yes.
Use this time for create. No, thank you. Thank you, Angela, for sharing all the knowledge. I will definitely add the links below so that people can kind of contact you and access some of the resources that you shared today. So thank you.
Thank you. And be persistent. And be persistent.
Yes.
You have to be persistent.
Yes, most definitely.
Thank you, Rhonda, for having me. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. That's what we're here for. Appreciate your time. Thank you.